What's going on, fishing friends? My name is Grant Elliott, and I am the host of the Fishing Corner. Thank you so much for watching. The Fishing Corner is brought to you by Old School Tackle Company. They make fantastic baits. Probably we're going to be talking about them a good bit tonight because we have with us Eddie Weber of High Octane Custom Baits. We were just talking a minute ago, and apparently he's like, we'll get into that in a second. And we have Jonathan Bland. Kambo should be joining us shortly. Jonathan Bland of Bay Bound Guide Service. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Doing real good.
Doing swell. Can't complain.
Hey, Brian, how are you, sir? I guess Brian's jumping in. He's a saltwater guy, but I guess he's jumping in to get a little freshwater. Anyways, this is the freshwater edition of the Fishing Corner, and we're going to be diving in and talking a little bit about everything that's freshwater fishing. But guys, as you know, we do a question of the night, so go ahead and start asking your questions now. Usually about 10 minutes into the show, we will pretty much do your questions from that point on. So question of the night will win a prize. Eddie, show them what they can win.
Yeah, we got we're loading up for the Pasadena show this weekend. So man, the choices are yours. Any bait here. We could also do any kind of custom color you want. So anything from High Octane with all the frogs up here, those are already kind of packed up from last weekend, but anything you want. Your choice.
It's your birthday?
It is my birthday.
Yeah.
Today?
Yeah, you know how special it is. I'm on here hanging out with you guys.
Look at you. Appreciate it.
I feel really honored.
Well, I do also get out of bedtime privileges, so that helps.
Oh, that's nice.
Down there playing in your fish dungeon.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Did you get a hot meal cooked for you at least?
I did.
There you go.
Well, I did. I cooked the main. I put the burgers on the grill. Got
it. Well, Colin asked, first question of the night. I mean, this might be a winner. How old are you?
I'm 36. 36 today.
Dang, I always make fun of you because of your beautiful, luscious locks.
I know,
right? Pretty soon you're going to start getting white streaks in that stuff.
Oh, it's pretty gray.
Is it really?
Gets gray and getting thin on top.
I feel you, man.
Well, we're going to make it not thin on top. Come on, dude. Take the hat off.
Oh, it's thinner than you think.
No I just got caught flat-footed. Jonathan, you are you run Bay Bound Guide Service. We are going to be talking a lot about freshwater fishing tonight, but Bay Bound does a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah. Hit a lot of the tidal tribs, which they fish just like a freshwater lake in the winter, essentially. Do a lot of full salt as well, further south. If it's swimming and I know how to catch it, I'm going after it, and I'm happy to have people come along. So, yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about your fishing journey. How did you get into fishing? What keeps you fishing? What is it that really ignites that passion?
Yeah, sure. The short end of the story is I grew up on Solomon's Island, and I don't really remember a time. Oh, sorry, my cat is on the table. I don't really remember a time when don't really remember a time when I wasn't fishing. As a kid, I was going for perch, little rockfish. My granddad taught me how to fish. By 4th grade, I won my own boat, so started to take a captain's license, or just get your boater's license. So I took a course then, cut grass to end up buying my first 13-foot whaler. Shortly after, outgrew that and started using a 17-foot whaler, and I've had that ever since. Kind of cut my teeth being that small boat in the bay, crazy, driving 60-mile round trips out of Solomon's down to Point Lookout or over to the Honga or Bloodsworth Island. Moved up to Annapolis a couple years ago and doing the same thing, learning these local waters up here. I always dreamed of fishing this area because all the rockfish usually move, the majority of them move up here in the summer months. But I keep my boat on a trailer. I travel everywhere, whether I'm down at the mouth fishing for cobia and reds or trout, or fishing the way upper reaches of some of the upper tribs for, the perch run or snakehead, or really whatever's really to be called, depending upon the season. But the most exciting news I have right now is I actually have kind of got to the point where the whaler is going to be leaving me. I just purchased 2 weeks ago a Jones Brothers Cape Fisherman 20, which I'll be now guiding out of. It's one of my, I've been looking at boats on Marketplace for years now, and I've had my eyes on either that or something comparable, but really excited to see where this boat's going to take me and all the opportunities that it's going to open up for me, and get the comfort as well.
You sent me a bunch of
nice,
pictures.
Man. That's awesome.
You didn't send me hang on. Kambo's writing us, who says, okay, I guess Kambo's not going to be with us tonight. But,
yeah, he said he's got a soccer game, soccer game.
Got it.
All right.
So, Jonathan, you sent me a bunch of pictures pre-show, but none of them featured your new boat.
I got to be honest, it hasn't touched the water yet, honestly. I just pulled it up from Charleston and just got the registration figured out yesterday on it. It's just coming to reality for me now. I'll probably be out there the next week. I'll have some pictures for you then.
Now, that's awesome, man. Congrats.
Sorry, Eddie. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying congrats. That's awesome.
Thanks, Eddie.
Is it a brand new boat, or is it a new boat to you?
New boat to me. Yeah, I don't have the funds for something brand new, but this boat, the way the previous owners have kept it, it looks great. It's an old boat. It's an 06, but doesn't look nearly as bad as I think I would have made it with all the rough conditions I like to put my boat through.
Yeah, I had to take exception with one thing you said. You said, when I was 13, I grew out of my small whaler, and I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
I'm 48, and I haven't grown out of my whaler yet.
Yeah, when I was in fourth grade in the boaters class that I was in, looking around me and seeing all these adults, or I think the next youngest person is probably in their mid-20s. Definitely felt like odd man out, but it's just the only thing I really wanted to do at that age, and I always had my eye on boats, I guess you could say, at an early age. So to finally have crossed that next threshold into a mid-20s size boat, and having the capacity to run further and go out and rougher water and have more people out and have them be just as comfortable as me is a big thing. I don't think I know of many other guides that have been guiding out of a 17-foot whaler in the bay. But I love to go shallow, real shallow. A lot of fishing I do is in 1.5 feet or 2 feet of water, or I'm up against a log jam or a rock pile pushing off with a pole.
Freeze tag.
I know. Well, it might end up being just you and me, Eddie.
That's all right. That's all right. He'll come back. That's awesome, though. Man, my Grady's a 96, so 2006. That's still young.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's.
Oh, there you go.
Lost you guys.
No, that's all right.
Oh, Chris,
well, that's awesome, man. I know you go everywhere in that Grady, so that's just going to open up so much other stuff to you. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
You can still push that. You can still push that pretty shallow.
Yeah, draft's 12 inches, so I'll find out real quick how shallow I can get it.
Right. I've taken my Grady way more shallow than I ever should, but I think I've only gotten stuck once last year.
It's where they like to live. They like to live
that's right.
in places.
Chris says he's thanking me for advice about the trailer. You guys, both boat owners, you already know that a boat trailer, man, that good grief, the lights on those things might be one of the most frustrating things in the world.
Don't get me started, Grant. I spent, I think, 8 hours on Saturday with my new trailer trying to figure it out, and I eventually just cut and retied everything. And it still doesn't even work. I'm going to need to redo my relays in my Nissan Frontier, I think, because it's not a wiring issue. It's a truck issue. But I found out the hard way. I redid all my wires. Yeah, they never work, right?
And you think, I mean, we're in 2023. How long have people been hauling boats on a trailer?
Yeah.
Like, why is
That's
this so
wild
hard?
too. We're in 2024. It's even a whole year past
I
2023.
mean, like we've invented time travel. I just went back in time. Same year.
No,
Are you
you're
impressed
making
by that, Eddie?
an even greater point. Yeah, it's 2024. I mean, you really need to have the lights.
Right.
Eddie, because it's your birthday, I'm going to let you.
No, I
get away with
appreciate that. I appreciate it.
But yeah, I mean, oh my God, trailer lights are just, and I kind of agree with you. Like, just take it all out because Chris, he's got everyone commenting on his post saying it's got to be the ground, it's got to be the ground, and then other things that I'm like, I just fixed my lights and it wasn't the ground. It was first of all, it was a fuse in a box that was tucked behind my motor, a 10 amp fuse.
I
And it's
replaced
hard
that
for me. I
weekend.
mean, I've got big hands. It's hard for me to get my hands back behind the motor. And then it was a wire that halfway along the run in the trailer, it had broken. Like how that ever happened, I have no idea.
Salt, water, and electronics are not friends. I don't know if they'll ever be friends.
No. Somebody replied on that. He was like, your best thing to do is flashlights and duct tape. And I was like, honestly, that's the best answer because like at this, I mean, they're going to break every few minutes. But we do have some other questions coming in here. But before we get to some of the questions, I want to hear a little bit more about specifically the kind of fishing you do. It looks like from the pictures that you sent me, at least for pickerel, that you do a lot of fly fishing. You want to walk me into how you got started on that and why you tend to favor that method of fishing?
Sure thing. I started fly fishing probably 10 or so years ago. Picked it up, didn't really know that you could do saltwater with it. Picked it up out west. Then realized all the different species you could target on the fly that lived, in the Chesapeake Bay. A lot of times fish just aren't as aggressive to take a lure than they are to take a fly. In clear water situations, the fly is going to work better when you can create something that looks identical to the bait that the fish are chasing. But to be honest, you're always limiting yourself when you're using a fly rod. I just enjoy the intimacy of throwing feathers at something and tricking it to eat a imitation of a bait fish pattern that I tied myself, or something that I know is exactly matching what the fish are after on any given day. But I guided out west in Grand Teton National Park after college for a year for trout. I loved going for them, but I really like the diversity and the intensity that comes with saltwater fly fishing. Nothing makes your knees buckle more than trying to throw a fly at a cobia or hooking up to a big striper that just boiled on the surface. I know, like all of us, were going for those big fish this winter. And, I got some on the fly that I caught a bunch on jig that day, but the ones that I replay in my mind time and time again is that, 40 something inch fish swirling on its side and annihilating the fly that's just twitching on the surface like that peanut bunker that they were chasing. It's a blast to have those fish take off and peel drag. And also it just puts you in a lot of really pretty places because you have to slow down when you're using a fly. You can't just cover all the water in one day. You really got to slow down and kind of think about all the different things taking place, whether it's the birds that day or the tide, what's going on with structure. You just become a better fisherman through throwing a fly rod than throwing spin. And I, I'm no purist. I throw spin all the time. I got a bunch of rods here, to my side here that I love throwing. But and some days you just can't. When it's blowing 15, you're not really going to want to throw a fly rod, or the fish are 40 feet down. I'm not going to throw a fly rod. But when you're in the shallows, or you're in clear water, or you're going after something that is essentially just a little mini muskie. If we're going to, talk about pickerel, they take a fly just about as good, if not better, than they will take a jig. And I can design these flies to work a lot better than I can work a paddle tail, or a lot better than I can work something with spin that I constantly have to move. I'd say the only other thing that can compete with the flies I use for pickerel are these jerk baits, which is why I love using them. They move super erratically and you can pause them. But yeah, I covered a lot there. I know it was like word soup, but
No,
if we want to get back to pickerel, I like throwing flies for pickerel just about more than any fish in the bay, because you can be as good, if not better, than a spin fisherman on the boat if you're throwing a fly for pickerel, because of how particular a pickerel can be in the middle of winter towards its food source.
Yeah, they like that pause and that slow fall of that fly too. That's it. It is very true.
Yeah, Eddie.
Exactly.
So, Eddie, do you think it's because you're an inferior fisherman that you don't fly fish all that often?
Well, it was probably the first one, exactly. I like covering a lot of water. I have tried fly fishing. I have fly rod. It was my goal to catch one last year on fly rod. Just haven't got back to it yet, but it's still my goal.
This year's tough, man. This year's tough. The weather's not done us any favors since December.
Since Christmas, basically. Yeah, exactly. Well, like sometimes I'm like, okay, like my fishing's been a little bit limited, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go out and I want to just catch fish, right? I haven't had that many times where I'm like, all right, I want to slow down. Like I caught enough yesterday, and I want to slow down and learn the fly rod. But it's definitely one of my goals this year.
That's honestly, Eddie, I mean, I've got a really nice TFO fly rod. I think it's a 7 or a 9 weight. That shows you how much I use it. I don't even know what it is.
Right. But
all I know is that I spent some money on it, but I never get it out because I'm not a very good fisherman. So, I'm like,
I don't think that's the case.
I'm like, if I want to catch fish, and if I want to increase my chances, that's not my strong suit. So I don't want to fly right now. But I'm right there with you. Like this winter when they were rolling, Jonathan, when those big hogs were rolling, like they were in 35, 40, 50 feet of water, but there were spells where the only time you catch the big ones is in that first 5 feet of the water column.
Right.
Yeah, that was wild.
And they didn't want
throwing a fly in that would have been sick.
And they didn't want your lure like jigging super erratically quickly on the surface. They want something that's slow, kind of just twitching. You watch those fish, they slap that bait and wait for it to be dead on the surface pretty much before they eat it. And in the bay this year is a lot of small bait, but when those big fish are eating 10-inch menhaden or 12-inch menhaden, they're almost never just swallowing them whole on first hit. They're almost always nailing them, stunning them, making sure they're perfectly dead, and then swimming back and eating them streamlined so they can go down easy. But that's like, there's been many times where I've seen a fish struggling to eat a big dead menhaden on the surface, and I throw a fly in front of it and twitch it just like the dead menhaden is right by it, and it'll actually leave the menhaden and eat my smaller fly right in front of it, just because the way it's twitching, but also staying in that column where they want to eat.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Well, you really can't. I mean, I've done enough fly fishing, not much, but I've done enough fly fishing to know that in terms of like your sink rate, you cannot beat a fly in terms of presentation.
Yeah, right.
Eddie, I wanted to ask you really quickly. When you kind of got me into pickerel fishing a few years ago in 1984.
Yeah.
My year's right. No, a few years ago, you got me into pickerel fishing. And it was a pretty good year 2 or 3 years ago. But then the year before that was even better. And then last year was kind of, and this year you're saying is kind of, what I'm noticing is pickerel are very cyclical fish. Do you have any rhyme or reason for that?
Yeah, I don't exactly. I think we could track the salinity too. That's definitely risen a lot over the last couple of years, especially below the bridge. I haven't tracked it as much like above the Magathie or above the bridge, Magathie, Patapsco, but it's definitely is a slower year than years before, especially up north. And I think it is partly cyclical. You know, there's classes of fish that I thought 2 years ago we'd be catching 23s to 25s, even pushing 26s in the Severn because that class of 20 to 22 was so strong that I thought those would graduate. But it kind of seems like we're still just catching that maybe 21 to 23 and less. I mean, I thought there'd be 24s to 26s everywhere in the Severn. But the first kind of half of the Severn has been really slow because I think of the salinity. I think they have left a lot of those kind of middle tribs because it's just too salty. That we're holding some really big fish.
Yeah, Jonathan and Eddie, whoever wants to jump in on this, when you notice the salinity's changing in some of these tribs that are further, south of the Bay Bridge, would you then move? Is it better to move to another trib farther north, or maybe up into the headwaters of those, the South or the Severn or some of those?
They're still there. They're still. Sorry, I don't want to jump you, Eddie. Were you gonna?
No, you're good, man.
What I found this year, due to the salinity, or I think just in general, when I'm going for pickerel, usually in the tribs though, so I kind of stuck to it. But maybe these fish staged in these areas more than they normally would have to. Is the small freshwater influences, whether it's a tributary or a transmissivity through a stream, a bank, really. It doesn't have to be a stream. Any freshwater flow-in or depression where you see phragmites, where it's a lowland area, the fish were right up against that area that had freshwater leaching into the tidal system. And I found a lot more fish concentrated in those regions than as before. You can kind of just hit, an entire trib and find them all throughout. I found them in patches. That being said, though, I also caught some fish in areas I didn't think I would, which were pretty much right on the main bay, and the fish were there. I mean, these are native fish to the bay, so I think they're tolerant of salinity. They probably prefer less than what's the ambient bay salinity level, but the water clarity really took a toll mid-December, if you don't remember, when we got that 3-inch rain event. And then our stream systems have just been charged ever since. My 9-to-5 job is I'm a project manager for a stream restoration company. So our whole workload is revolves around if the streams are low enough to work in. So I'm always noticing when we get, any sort of rain event, what it's done to all the stream systems and stormwater conveyance systems around the watershed. Even like something like today, which kind of seemed minor. I mean, it was a 1-inch event. It's a pretty normal event of rain we got, but it still murks up our tributaries, and it still murks up all those pickerel spots. And these are visual feeders. And when they don't have that 6 to 5 feet of clarity like we do get in the winter, especially 2 years ago when it was a phenomenal pickerel year. I mean,
yeah,
goodness, the amount of 25, 26-inch fish and the amount of double-digit pickerel days I had out in the boat was amazing. But you're right, Eddie. It was weird to see that there wasn't as many big fish this winter. A lot of the fish came right in around that 20 to 23-inch range in the tidal tribs. That's primarily where I fish for pickerel in the winter. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if these 25-inch fish we saw, they died off, they hit their limit, or they're more susceptible at an older age to, maybe a dead zone or the water quality issues that we get throughout the summer. Or, I mean, the temperature being, our summer temps in those trips don't really affect them. They're warm water tolerant as well as cold water tolerant. But I don't know. I chalked it up to, if they can't see, they're probably there. They just can't see my fly, or they can't see my jerk bait. And that's probably why I'm not catching as many as I normally do now. The water clarity is just not there. I love seeing 3 to 4 feet.
Yeah, I totally agree. I had a buddy asked me that question a couple years ago. It's like, well, what are you throwing if in the creek and when it's just muddy, you just like can't see anything? I said, I'm not throwing anything. I'm looking for another river, because you're not going to catch. I've done that days on days and just been like, you'd have to put it right in their face.
Yeah.
You'd almost have to hit it with the lure for them to eat it. And that's just no fun. So I'm just like, go find some better water.
Yep. You don't see trout fishermen like, fishing a stream when it's chocolate milk and it's blown out. They are done for the day, or they're hitting a lake. Kind of when I go out in the boat and when I go to a trib and I see it's murky, I leave the trib before even fishing it until I find the clearest water on a tributary, or of a river, a tributary of a river I'm fishing, and then work that. I'd much rather spend all day in one trib that's clear than jetting around different tribs and covering water in an area that's murky. It makes a big difference.
Agree. Well, sometimes it'll be clear all the way up the river because it's kind of like flushing out. So you got to kind of check the whole thing, but then go out too.
Right.
I think Rogers has a really good point here, or something I want to bounce off you guys. He said thing that made a difference this year for pickerel was no grass. While there was some grass, it just wasn't as much as in years past. Makes a difference. What say you guys?
I would totally agree with that. I think that's what's struggled in the Patapsco this year. Is I haven't fished much there because the reports they've been good but not killer, because just not much grass. Now in the Severn there was a good amount of grass, and they were stuck to that grass. I mean, I couldn't find them anywhere else except for where there was grass or dying grass.
And what do you think contributes to the less grass on the Patapsco? Is that an environmental thing? Because I know obviously that feeds that Baltimore is part of that river.
Yeah, I think it's just a water quality thing. I'm not really sure. John, you might know about that, but I was actually catching pickerel in 2 feet of water. Well, I guess the grass was about 1.5 feet, and there was about 6 inches of water above, and the water was like below 40 degrees. And I was throwing a little twitch bait just right on top, and pickerel were darting out from the grass in below 40-degree water, which is was blowing my mind. I'm like, you're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be in 4, 5, 6 feet where you like that perfect water, not like freezing cold.
Right.
So that was pretty cool, but I think it was just because they like that grass so much.
Yeah. Other thing that I've noticed in my pickerel fishing, and Eddie, you and I have talked about this a good bit, is water clarity is huge, but water level is just as big. Like when you get these blown out tides, or when it's super low, like you may as well pack it up and go home.
Yeah, absolutely. John, if you want to hit on that too, but like today the water, man, it was just blowing right out of the Severn. I'm like, tomorrow's not going to be very good. I want to get out, but it's not going to be very good.
When we get the winter moons mixed with a west wind, the water levels drop, the fish get shocked. They leave those shallow water environments that they'd normally be feeding in, and the only saving grace you have on those days is deep water and this little guy, small baits right on the bottom. This is a 2-inch paddle tail. I think this is a 1/8 ounce, and I'll throw this on an ultralight and just pound the bottom of those ledges from the deep water from right off the flats where they would normally be. They're still there, and they normally don't want to eat as much. And I think all pickerel fishermen enjoy watching their fish either slash the bait from away from the boat in the shallows or hit boat side, kind of like a little muskie would do. But you won't get that as much on those blowout days, and they're shocked. They go deep. It's aggravating to even sometimes after a blowout, or it'll be super windy. The next day it'll be beautiful, and you're like, all right, it's a great day to fish. Well, it's not really the case because the water's, still catching up to what was going on the day before. And
Right.
there's been many times where you get out there and you're like, this isn't going to happen, or it's not going to happen the way I want it to happen because of water levels. It's a great point, Grant. Good thing to bring up. Yeah, it's tough. Looking at tides, these are tidal fish. They really care about the water level in their environment, and I try to pay attention to that. And my ideal time to go out and fish is going to be from a last 2 hours of incoming and first 2 hours of outgoing, when those fish are pushed up against the shoreline or able to utilize their flat that they like to feed in. Whereas on a blowout day, you got to completely change your tactic. Fish the middle of your creek or fish deep. That's about the only time where I will say, Grant, and Eddie, I think you'd agree, like the flies don't work as good on those days. It's not your day I wouldn't be telling my clients, or I wouldn't even be out fishing with flies on a blowout days. I might try, but I know what really the outcome will be.
Well, guys, we've talked about pickerel fishing before on this show. We've focused on it before, but it hasn't happened this year. So especially since we don't have that guy Kambo on here talking about snakehead all the time. We are really going to focus on pickerel tonight. We have a couple of questions coming in, a very talkative audience tonight, which is awesome. But we have two guys here that really know a lot about pickerel fishing, and we're going to focus on pickerel fishing for probably, the next 20 minutes or until Eddie needs to go spend time with his family for his birthday.
No, man, I'm making lures the rest of the night. I got off now.
Right, but so people who weren't here at the beginning of the show, Eddie, show them one more time what question of the night.
Yep.
Question of the night, all of those, right?
Again, we're you get them all. You get them all. We're like I said earlier, stocking up for Pasadena. Come out and check us out there. So we got a lot of stuff ready to ship quick. So you get the pick of the bunch.
So you'll get one prize. You'll make it just a tiny bit more difficult for them to prepare for Pasadena, because they'll have to make another lure. But that's what you've been doing tonight, right? Making lures?
Yeah, that's right. Just been spinning them up.
So go ahead and get your
questions
in.
How long does it
take
you to make up one of those lures, Eddie?
So, like a chatterbait, we were talking about this. A chatterbait probably has like 25 steps in it, because it's going from we're going from wire. I always get mixed up. We're going from straight wire, powder coating this. We're putting on the clips. We're putting on the making the skirts, putting on the lures. From putting a sticker on to stapling it to put it in the bag. It's hard to say like start to finish because I run them all in like steps. Like
sure.
Like right here I have, probably kind of see them sticking out there. Those are weedless tridents. I have them all kind of ready to go like this, and then I spin them up on a little wire form, and then I put the hook on there from there, and then the plastic and the twist tie and all that stuff. So through stages.
Making me feel worse and worse about losing them now.
No, that's all right. That's all right. That's how you got to keep it in business too.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
you lose them every once in a while.
Precisely.
That's the thing. It's like we make them so strong, and then it's like they never break, and it's like, well, that wasn't the greatest business plan, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's working on repairing copy machines and making fishing lures will always have job security, because people
absolutely.
We do have a couple of questions coming in. Christina, thank you for catching the live. You commented on that, but she asked, what's a location that's easy access and good to catch pickerel within a 20-mile radius of Glen Burnie? Wow, you guys, this is like a volleyball game. This is a set and spike for you guys. You guys should be able to crush this question.
Yeah, I'll start it out. Not to give away too many spots, but you can launch it. Probably the best launch in the Severn is Smith's Marina. I mean, all those
You gotta
creeks.
pay money to launch there, though. It drives me
Yeah,
nuts.
you gotta pay the money to go to the good spots, man. You can go to Greens, whatever, or there's a launch on Weems. I don't recommend Weems. People catch fish on Weems. I have never had good luck on Weems Creek. It looks the most pickerely spot in the entire world. I've never
Well,
had good luck there.
Weems is close to the main stem of the bay.
Yeah,
So, if there's going to be a creek that's salty, that probably is.
it is. It is. It has a good feed all
I
the way in
looked
the
at
back, and it looks even better
Yeah.
all the way in the back. But I've never had good luck there. My
Look
best
at it
luck is
every
always
time 150.
yeah. I mean, it looks
Looks
so
so
good.
good.
Looks so good. That's one of my gauges on how the water level is. If there's water in there, then it's good. If it's blowing out, like
Likewise.
tomorrow, there'll be like nothing in there.
Yep.
But generally in the Severn, anything above Sherwood Forest is good. So that's why I recommend Smith's, especially if you're in a kayak. You don't have to go very far. So that would be my recommendation.
Kambo chimed in. He said, "Did someone mention Beechwood? You got to haul your kayak a bit, but good water."
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
not many. Jonathan, you could comment on this. There's not many great launches in the Magathie.
Yeah, it's yeah, hope it stays that way, man. I'm just kidding.
I know, right?
Yeah, the hot spots Beechwood, I would say, for the Magathie, as far as public access goes. It's a good spot. That being said, I mean, it gets pounded, but every now and then I will somehow end up all the way back there and catch pickerel. There's pickerel around there. Good yellow perch fishing as well. It's no secret. It's no spot burn. Everyone knows about Beechwood and the diversity of fish you can catch back there. Hell, I've seen a stringer once of a rockfish, a crappie, yellow perch, a white perch, and a pickerel, all from someone at Beechwood.
I caught one of my biggest bass off of Beechwood, off to the left.
That's cool.
Largemouth, Eddie?
Huh?
Largemouth?
Largemouth bass. Yeah.
It's everything back there.
Crazy.
I mean, what you just shared, Jonathan, that's not a slam. That's like a grand slam. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sorry, you cut off. What was that?
What's that?
Yeah.
4 different species is really impressive. I'm going to help Christina out though, because
It was awesome.
Christina, tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I think she's a bank angler. So
Okay.
Any places that you guys can think of on 20 minutes from Glen Burnie is probably parts of the Severn, parts of the Magathie, parts of the Patapsco. Any place where she can fish from shore and catch pickerel.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would check out really any of the marinas. Those are kind of I guess kind of like semi-public, if you will. They'll let you fish from some of the marinas around like the creeks. Beechwood's is a bank spot off the Magathie. I have to think about another bank spot off of the Severn or anywhere up there. There's a park or two on the Patapsco. They're escaping my thoughts right now, but yeah, just I guess explore any of the public parks, public launches, and just look for grass spots, downfalls, trees in the water, even like rock jetties. They'll hold their that keeps the water a little warmer, I think, off those rock jetties, and you'll catch them off of there too, kind of like rockfish would.
Or, I mean, Christina, I don't want to tell anyone how to fish, but you get an inexpensive kayak. You can probably find one on Facebook you probably can find one for $300.
Or go out with John; he'll show you where to go.
Or I'm sorry, what am I doing? Right, the whole point is
Eddie,
to
thank
promote
you.
Jonathan.
Wow, Eddie, you took the words out of my mouth.
What a complete jackass. or book a trip with Jonathan Bland. Jonathan,
I'd love to take
speaking of which, let me try to crawl my way out of the hole. How would someone do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have a website, bayboundguideservice.com. You can find my number and email them there. You can reach me on Facebook. You could reach out to me either personally on Facebook, Jonathan Bland, or Baybound Guide Service. Reach out on my page. Also, I believe I'm on Fishing Booker. If you want to look at some of my dates there as well, it's a website that a lot of charter captains and guides use in the area. But yeah, reach out right after this video if you'd like. Sweet, there it is. Thanks, Grant. But yeah, Beechwood's great. Don't pass it up just because it's always talked about and it's a popular spot. I've caught many pickerel there. I've gone there before and caught yellow perch, and even with lots of the pressure it gets, the fish still pass through, and definitely have opportunities to catch lots of the species we want to target in the winter months from there. That's the best bet I would say for the Magothy. I know, as you mentioned, Eddie, it is limited access. I think they've talked about maybe making another ramp or extending Beechwood.
Yeah.
Still have about 10 minutes, guys, to get your questions in. Got a question coming from all the way down in Florida. Sean Diggity asked, what's the coldest and warmest water the pickerel can survive in, and what is the optimal temperature for them?
Oof.
I'll jump in on that one, Jonathan. You can add. Coldest and warmest they can survive. I mean, I'm just guessing. I mean, I'm not really sure where they go in the summer. The little ones will stay around in the warmer water, all the way up to, I don't know if the water gets above 70 degrees.
90.
They're still, 90 degrees. I mean,
Sean.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of still around and they do okay. They don't look great. They look super skinny, like they're about to die, but somehow they're still kicking. They have this like giant head and this skinny, tiny little body. Cold water, man. I mean, they love the cold, so they'll find kind of their optimal temperature. If it's cold, all frozen over, they're not gonna be like up on the bank under the ice. They kind of are off the bank where that actually warmer water is, because the warm water kind of flips, if you will. So actually the water's warmer, deeper. Optimal temperature that I've seen that that I catch them the best in is kind of mid 40s. It's like once it's coming down, and I'd say falling to mid 40s. I don't like when it's kind of rising to mid 40s. Like if it's like winter, fall time, coming from like 50, 48, 45. I mean, if I had some killer days of that 45 to 48 temp.
Yeah, it's been like, I love Kevin. I love 54, low 50s. It's the perfect amount of metabolism is still there, and dissolved oxygen is high.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, these fish can tolerate extremely low dissolved oxygen levels and warm temperatures, which is why they're found back. They can survive back in these tribs, which most summer days in the Chesapeake Bay, it's a dead zone back there. The rockfish sure aren't going to be there in the summer, and it's low dissolved oxygen and it's warm temperatures. Low 50s is my favorite time to target them. A lot of people love going in the dead of winter, January or February, and saying like that's their, that might be their favorite time if they're fishing freshwater tribs, or maybe even they've, if they're somewhere and they just, everyone has an opinion, but my favorite time to target them is definitely end of November, beginning of December. And that's probably when those temperatures are low 50s, mid 40s, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's where you can get those. I mean, 30 fish days, you can get 25 fish afternoons and those temps. Yeah,
bunch of 25-inch fish too, which is
Yep.
Well, my man Sam at Outdoors in Maryland is saying he's going pickerel fishing tomorrow with Colin at Big Yacker. So I'm going to turn that statement into a question for Sam. If you guys were fishing tomorrow, we don't talk spots here because we're not trying to burn anyone's spot. But if you guys were going to go tomorrow, how would you approach it? What would your strategy be based on, kind of your understanding about what's going on right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would personally load up on jerk baits. That'd be my go-to, my start. I wish I had it here. I had this I have a couple that one that John showed. It's like kind of that yellow perch pattern. Is that the 10 or the 12? That's kind of like the smaller one, right?
Yeah, this is the I believe the 12.
Yeah.
Is that Rapala?
Yeah, it's Rapala X-Wrap.
That's the little one, right? That's my favorite bait for a pickerel.
It's a 4-inch. Yeah, 4-inch. It's awesome for when the water's, really any clarity level, but this is like Old Faithful. I also if I've got really clear stuff, this is just a Yozuri, but might have. Oh yeah, this was a bait, an old X-Wrap from Canada. They don't even make them anymore, but this was my favorite pickerel lure. And you can see it still had scale. It has like the scale pattern on it. Looks just like
that's good looking.
Silver side, but broke the bill off and tried to epoxy the bill on a bunch of times, and it just gave out. So now it's just a ornament.
Souvenir.
Yeah. Definitely jerk bait tomorrow. Something colorful, maybe even something a little, maybe even the bigger version of this. Actually, would you say the 10, which is the bigger?
10 is the bigger, yeah.
I think so. I use I like also the Megabass 90. It dives a little deeper too.
Yeah.
So I would have that one that you had. That's it dives a little shallower.
Yeah.
And then I like the one
like
that dives a little
feet.
Deeper. Yeah. The discussion that was probably like 3, and then the Megabass one's like 4 to 5. It's nice to hit those 2 water levels.
I wouldn't go too far back in any of the. If you're fishing tidal, don't go too far back in the tribs because all this rain we got today, this water's flushed out. But your best chance of clarity is going to actually be in the mouths of tributaries. Because if I were going tomorrow, I would know I only have 1 or 2 tide cycles before this runoff that we just got today is going to reach most of the tributary and kind of just mix and murky up the water. We had a good thing going last week. We didn't get any rain. I'm hoping that gave, your areas that you're fishing tomorrow enough time to clear up. I was going to pickerel fish this weekend. I'm not sure if I'm going to now after all this rain. I might just go check it out, but I've been going for rockfish just because it's been an amazing winter. And it's been the water clarity has not been to where I really like to pickerel fish. Haven't been in about a month, but if I had to guess, the water temps right now are about 40 degrees and dropping, and we're going to see the clarity decrease from all this rain we got today. So don't go too far back into the system. Don't go to the headwaters. Try to fish somewhere further out and try to find the clearest body water you can. That being said, I think it's going to be good. I think it will be good for you. If I didn't have to go to work tomorrow, I'd be pickerel fishing as well. Good call.
Sam says he will be very shallow and non-tidal. Sam, I'm going to guess that you're going to be over on the eastern shore, maybe Johnson's Pond. I don't know. It's just a guess because I know you're already on the eastern shore. But other questions. Let's see. We got. No, I saw another one. Oh, Rodney Green asked, "What is your favorite color to catch pickerel?" We kind of talked about that a little bit with the Rapala jerkbait, but maybe we can touch on that a little bit. I already know yours, Eddie.
Yeah, I know. Kevin knows mine too.
It's definitely going to be yellow for me. Yellowish, orange. Oh, you got red, Eddie.
No, he does.
Pink.
Oh, pink is your favorite.
Pink. Pink torpedo spin, man, killer. Now I usually use white paddle tail. We have electric chicken in here because we ran out of white, to be honest with you. But I don't know. Some of my biggest pickerel have come on pink torpedo spins. They don't hit as much of like the pink like full lure or like a pink on pink, but the white with that pink torpedo spin, just they love it.
This time of year, a lot of yellow perch are staging or really starting to stage. A lot of, hence the name. I love throwing a lot of yellow perch patterns, flies, or the jerk bait.
Yeah, those are nice.
Just this looks like kind of like the clown color, a little bit of green in there as well, gold flash. A lot of yellow. That's just what I think they're eating. Like I've pulled out a lot of pickerel that have big fish in their bellies. Sometimes it's small, like yellow perch up to 5 inches. Grant, I think I sent you one of those pictures this week that had a 7-inch. That was crazy to see. Yeah, it's a 7-inch pickerel in an 18-inch pickerel's mouth.
Wow.
Yeah, middle of winter. I actually caught. I had one client a year ago catch a nice sized pickerel, and he wanted to take it home and eat it. And I wasn't going to take that, right from him. I was like, yeah, sure, take him home. They're kind of bony. He said he had eaten pike before and wanted to eat a pickerel. He took it home, and I was absolutely shocked at the picture he sent me. It had a 8-inch, just about it. Yeah, an 8-inch digested, but you could still see the pattern snakehead in its belly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So they eat everything, and they're not afraid to eat, big stuff.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the lures we're using are these, 4-inch baits, but when I throw flies, I've thrown some flies that are pushing 6-7 inches for them, and they'll still eat them.
Do something. The pickerel are going to eat all the snakehead.
I think it's like a give take thing, right? Like in the summer, I bet the snakehead are eating all the pickerel's fry and
chasing them around for
pickerel.
Sure.
And then in the winter, maybe those pickerel fight back, and it's kind of their time to shine in that cold water, and the snakehead are more lethargic, and they're an opportunist to getting a meal. And yeah, that was kind of wild to see. I've also caught pickerel that have up to 2 like 3-inch peanut bunkers in their mouth at the same time as they're taking a lure. So, yeah, they're big appetite fish. They're not just eating a minnow and a bobber. You can throw some big stuff for them and get good results. But I think I kind of rambled on there again. My favorite color has got to be yellow. I think they key in on that. But Eddie, you're almost the exact opposite pigment there, and still getting success. So that's really cool to hear.
I did have some pretty good success with chartreuse this year, where they wouldn't hit anything else. They weren't going for the white; they were hitting chartreuse. But yeah, I mean that pink. I also like, this is kind of along yours, but I go to like the natural yellow perch color. Do you steer toward the one that you have is more like with the orange on the bottom, or do you use a little bit of both?
That one. I like that one a lot as well. I just usually have like 2 contrasting lures I'm throwing. It's either clear water, I just go something natural, or dirtier water, throwing something a little brighter. I've thrown a lot of. I like the clown pattern. Pretty cool form as well. And I also just have. I have one of these rods, but it's right here. So I like this pattern, which is just like all gold, orangish to gold, and then just kind of brown on top. A little bit more natural as well.
Almost like a cart pattern.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. They like gold too. Anything shiny gets their attention.
I think it's the motion. The motion of that lure is way more important than the color. They love the fact, just like a muskie is going to want to eat something when you figure eight at the boat because it's going broadside. A pickerel loves to eat a jerkbait that's going broadside to it, not staying in one plane. And so by having an erratic lure that's jerking from side to side, you trigger a strike. And these jerk baits are awesome because you can also pause them when it's cold out and the fish are not as keen to chase after your lure. They'll,
I was going to say that before. The jerk bait's one of my favorite baits for several species, but for pickerel in particular, I know that they're not all created equal, because you want a jerk bait that's really going to like hover.
Yeah.
It sinks too fast, or if it just sits up on the surface more like a top water, it's not going to work. That Rapala I really like. And you had the smallest one, the 12, because
12.
Give it a couple of twitches and that thing is going to sit there in the water column, almost like a fish just at rest. And it's just the perfect lure for a pickerel to ambush.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll be teaching people the motion of, twitching a jerk bait, and I give it like 3 solid jerks, hand them back the rod, and they like don't even really twitch it, but they're like, "Oh, fish is on there," and it's a scratch your head moment, and just be like, these fish, man, just get you every time when you think they're not around, or the person hasn't caught one for a while, and throw and twitch it right there, and then hand it back the rod, and a fish is on. It's really cool to have a fish that you can cast repeatedly at, and they don't eat, but you throw and give them the presentation they want, and they'll take it. I think
Guys, we have another question coming in, and we have probably enough time for one more if somebody wants a chance at any of the amazing lures behind the Severn River Angler there. Max Applegate asks, he says, I know musky fishermen figure 8, so they take the lure and put it in a figure 8 pattern when a fish follows to the boat. Does this work for pickerel, and have you ever tried this? I have, and it worked, Max. So I'll let the experts chime in, but I definitely did. I saw one follow, and then I just kind of let it sit, and then started the figure 8, and they hammered it.
Yeah, it's awesome, Jonathan. I'll let you take that one first.
It's a good question, Max. I don't figure 8 for them, but a lot of times I see people picking their lure up when it's still like 5 feet away from the boat or something, and kind of ending that cast. And it's really important with pickerel to take that cast all the way to the boat and beyond if you can, especially if you got front of boat advantage. I stop that fly when I'm 10 feet away from the boat, hold the line to the rod, and then I'm just using the rod to twitch and give that fly, or the lure, if you're using a rod, stop reeling and continue to twitch your jerk bait or twitch your paddle tail to the boat or beyond. And a lot of times you'll see a fish tracking on it. At that point, you try not to do anything dumb, which you always do, but twitch it either away from the boat or back to you, and you kind of do it's not a figure 8, but you really just keep that lure in motion. And a lot of times the fish eat at the boat, which is so cool. It's rare that us as Chesapeake Bay fishermen get to see something like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I always watch my lure. I always watch like a foot to 2 feet behind my lure when it's coming in, because they'll be just kind of tracking it up, and as soon as it gets to the boat, they'll kind of come closer to it. So always watch it all the way in.
Yeah, they're there.
They do a lot of stalking, don't they?
Yeah,
they do.
And it's something about when they see the boat and that lure starts to come up to the surface, they kind of get a little bit anxious as to this prey might get away on me. And a lot of times by pulling it out of the water, you just kind of end the momentum you have going. And if you continue to work it past the boat or around the boat or to the side, they usually hit right at the boat, or right as you're about to pull the lure out of the water. It surprises me every time. That's one of the first things I tell people when I'm fishing with them on the boat. It's like, finish your retrieve, because almost every time I go out fishing for them or take people, we get at least one boat side eat, especially on an overcast day, which is a whole can of worms. I don't think we have enough time to go down today, which is conditions.
Well, we are just about out of time. We do have one question, and guys, this may be the best question we've had all season. This is question of the night stuff right here.
Shaking my boots.
Can't wait.
Where's all the fish at?
In the water, Jason.
Thank
Jason,
you.
come with me. I'll show you. Bay Bound Guide Service.
There you go.
Right. We got to get extra plugs in for you now, Jonathan. So royally screwed it up. I was like, well, you could get a kayak or you could fish from shore. I don't know how you can find these fish. Yeah, I mean, book a trip with Jonathan. He's got a lot of amazing pictures. Let me put up his website. Again, it's bayboundguideservice.com. You said your number's on there, right?
Yeah. Yep. Feel free to reach out.
Well, we had a chatty audience tonight, but if you asked a question, you don't have a ton of competition. We had few enough questions where I think we can review them like this. Christina asked, what's the location easy to access from Glen Burnie? Max asked a question about the figure eight. Sean asked a question about what's the coldest and warmest water the pickerel can survive, and what is the optimal temp for them. Let's see. Rodney asked, what is your favorite color to catch pickerel? And where's all the fish at?
Where's all the fish at?
So we don't have Kambo. So what we're going to do is Eddie and I are going to choose a question. And Jonathan, you will be the tiebreaker. Eddie, do you have a question that stands out to you as question of the night?
Yeah, I'll pick it first. Max's question about the figure eight was a pretty good one.
Max, figure eight. Like it. So, Max, you are in the running for question of the night to win a prize from High Octane Custom Baits. And I'm going to go with Christina. What's a location that's good access for pickerel within 20 miles of Glen Burnie? It's on you, Jonathan.
Oh,
we got a countdown. Hang on. You want a countdown to think it through, or you got your answer?
No, I think I got it.
All right.
I'm going with Max on the do pickerel fishermen use the figure eight. I get asked that question a lot, and I also really enjoy catching fish at the boat when you do like a half imitation of a figure eight for these fish. So I got to give it to him with that.
My first pickerel was on, gosh, I can't remember the name of it. Eddie, it was one it was Valentine Creek, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
First pickerel on the Severn was on Valentine Creek. I was way back in at the end of it. Was getting kind of frustrated. Very clear water, great day. And I had an X-Wrap, the 10, and jerked it right up next to the boat. And I just saw the green shadow kind of following it. And I just saw the most epic eat. I mean, the pickerel opens their mouth up like a dragon before they're about to hit it, and he just nailed it right at the boat.
And
That's
they go
awesome.
airborne. They go airborne too when you're fighting them, especially when the water's a little warm. Yeah, they thrash at the boat, kind of tail walk.
I've had some big boys go airborne too, which is wild.
Yeah.
What does?
I've had some big ones go airborne too.
Yeah.
It's not just a little.
Send me your address to either my personal or the Tight Lines Facebook. I know you've won a prize before, but it may have been a while. So send me your address. Let's see. I think that's pretty much. Oh, Michael said had a lot of them eat board side, stand up paddleboard. That might be a lot of fun. That's really cool. Watching them swipe your fly. Anything you want to close us out with, birthday boy?
Just come out to the Pasadena show this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 8 to 2. Both days, Kurt's Beach up in Pasadena. We got a lot to show you, so come and say hello. We'll be with Taylor Lures, Old School will be there, Spectre Baits will be there. 40 East Fishing we're sharing a table with. So it's a really fun time just to hang out, say hello to people, grab some fish and stuff, and it's kind of a kickoff to the year.
And Eddie, could you talk to us a little bit about how Old School and High Octane work together?
Yeah, so we do some collaborations, but actually most of our stuff comes from Spectra. Spectra Baits does a lot of our paddle tails. We've done a lot with Old School as well with their eels and some of their trailers as well. So we partner with both.
Good stuff. And Jonathan, one more time, tell us how people can get in touch with you, and then maybe add to that by saying, adding what they can kind of expect out of a trip with you over the coming weeks and months.
Sure thing. Yeah. Again, on Facebook, website, Baybound Guide Service. My Instagram is @notso_bland. And the next month, one thing we didn't touch on, but two things. Perch run's about to be going on. Really looking forward to that. And I do trips for those as well. Eastern Shore based. That's all I'll really say today. But the other thing is the blue cats close to home. I'm going to be starting to go for blue cats here in March. Live bait, chunking for them right out here in the bay. And it's not uncommon to get fish up to 35 inches. And it's a lot of fun. Kids, families, March and April, I'm going to be out there, and we'll come back with coolers full of blue catfish, which are delicious to eat too. I don't know if you guys have had them yet, but
so good.
They're so good.
Awesome.
Underrated. It's not like a catfish that you would normally look at and shrug with the yellow belly and all that. It's white, flaky fish. I'm going to be running trips for both of those in the coming months.
Nice.
Hopefully a pickerel trip here or there, if the water quality is conducive. But yeah, all year round, really fish the seasons, and feel free to reach out if you have a fishing trip in mind that you'd want to run. But rockfish in the spring and trout in the summer and Spanish mackerel in the summer, and then rockfish in the fall and winter along with pickerel is what I run. And looking forward to getting this boat fishy, so come on out with me.
Let's do it. Guys, get in touch with Jonathan Bland with Baybound Guide Service. Sounds like he can put you guys on an array of fish with really any kind of fishing trip idea that you have. Also, hit up Eddie Weber with High Octane Custom Baits. He also, we didn't get to talk about it, but he also does a lot of merchandise through the Severn River Angler. So you can find him on Instagram at Severn River Angler. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks so much for coming on, Jonathan and Eddie. Happy birthday, everyone. Let's sing Eddie a happy birthday real quick. Happy birthday to you.
I appreciate it, guys.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Severn River Angler. Happy birthday.
Where's my virtual candle? I appreciate it, fellas. I know, man. I know.
Thanks for having me.
Great night, everyone.
Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys. Later.
Thank you.
Take care.